So, Woosh and I used to live in a small town in Ontario together and went to high school there. And some of us discovered a cliff one day that was outside of town. You had to walk along this little stream for quite a while with a path that went through the trees and some really scary parts of the trees too, like weird spots that just give you eerie feelings. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. But anyway,
it would be like all muddy and flooded.
Yeah, that part was bad.
Like dead trees there.
Yeah. So then, anyways, we found these cliffs that, you know, if you take this trail out quite a ways, you can end up there. And it was so secluded that you could camp out there and make a lot of noise and no one would ever bother you. So we got a lot of friends together and we'd go eat sandwiches all night long.
Yeah,
we had some great sandwich sessions.
With, like, mushrooms on them.
Oh yeah, we're talking good mushrooms on those sandwiches, let me tell you what. And like a lot of the time, I don't think I've ever been to Bun Black and not been inebriated on some form of sandwiches or mushrooms on sandwiches. And so we'd have these big camping trips out there. We had a big group of friends in high school. You know, we'd sometimes have, I think the record was 13 or 16 people out there, I don't remember. And oh, it was good times. We'd make a mess of the place and eventually clean it up a few weeks later. And one time there was a tree, a dead tree, like cedar tree, with all these branches hanging over a cliff behind where we set up our tents on top of these Bun Black cliffs. Oh, I'll explain why it's called Bun Black too. And anyways, there was this tree leaning over, and everybody took to throwing their... It was really rainy that weekend, and all our socks got destroyed and wet and gross. So we threw all of our nasty socks up into the tree branches, and we had this sock tree that was like... It looked like Christmas with all these socks everywhere. And there was a cooler. Mike's cooler was up there for like 2 years before someone came and got it. But anyways, the place was called...
I remember carrying wood there.
No, I'll spell it. It was called Bun, B-U-N, Bun Black, like that. And it was called Bun Black because when I first discovered it with a couple of friends, Ryan Tanner and this other douchebag, can't remember his name right now. And we were walking along this trail, and we just saw some cliffs off in the trees to the left a little bit. And we're like, why don't we climb that cliff there? Okay, it looks like a good spot. We climbed up, and in one little spot where, like, most of the day, most of the year, the sun comes through the trees right onto this beautiful little spot on top of the cliff. And there's, in that spot, is the grave of a man named Bun Black. And, just down from the grave, down like a very short, 2-foot cliff, was a big open area with a fire pit that was there before we got there, with logs laid out where you could sit a lot of people. And then off to the side of that was a big open area, cleared away and everything, where you could set up several tents. And we had some wild parties out there. We'd bring, stereos on batteries and so many sandwiches and mushrooms out there. It was great. Oh boy, I can tell some great stories about that place. So, I have a friend named Joel who kind of likes to push the limits. And one night we were out there and he was really drunk. He was drunk on JD like no tomorrow. He was so wasted.
That was Crown Royal.
Crown Royal, yeah. So he had this bottle of Crown Royal, and he was dumping a little bit onto the fire. And of course, Crown Royal is definitely flammable. So the fire would like chase up the stream and go towards the mouth of the bottle. And I kept saying
6-foot fireballs coming off this fire.
And then I've got again the stream of fire going up the liquor back towards the bottle where it's gonna explode in his hand, right? And I kept saying to him,
he doesn't eat sandwiches. He doesn't like cheese.
Yeah, he's not really much of a sandwich eater, but the one time he took some really different type of sandwiches, it didn't turn out for him in the end. But, so he was so drunk on this Crown Royal, he was pouring it onto the fire, and I kept saying, dude, that's going to blow up in your hand, that's really dangerous. And he was like, totally, like, yelling, getting all upset about it, and like, dude, like, it's not going to, the science behind it, it's not going to fucking blow up in my hand, man, just watch. And he'd do it again, I'd be like, dude, cut it out. He'd be like, just watch, it's not going to do it. Dude, cut it out, like, I don't need to fucking drag your ass to the hospital tonight, I'm pretty trashed on sandwiches, man. I can't be carrying you through the forest in the dark.
Never mind the shrapnel for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly, the shrapnel for the rest of us. Like, he could be hurting one of us, right, and not himself. So yeah, Joel was just kind of like that. And now he's heavily medicated and often in a mental institution. But that's a story for another day.
That night I had to like pick him up. He decided he wanted to lay down in broken glass. I decided to pick him up out of broken glass.
Yeah, he made some pretty crazy decisions and isn't of right mind these days, unfortunately. Great guy, though. Great guy.
Yeah, he's a genius. He scored the highest on the grade 12 math test.
Genius is right. Absolute
for
genius.
A large region of southern Ontario.
Absolute
Southern
genius.
and central.
It wouldn't explode, you say, eh? It looked like it was going to explode to us, and you know, for
not me. No, I knew it wasn't going to.
But here's the thing: is just for
I know
the
the
sake
Bunsen
of
burner physics.
Sure, but just for the sake of peace of mind, I would have appreciated him to just stop doing it. The fireballs and everything was just not, you know, jiving with the mushrooms I had on my sandwich. I suggest to anyone out there, if you're eating mushrooms on your sandwich, don't hang out with drunk people. It's two completely different buzzes, and you really shouldn't hang out together. It just one makes you stupid and one makes you ultra intelligent, and it's just
don't
not.
Hang out with drunk, paranoid schizophrenics.
Yeah, paranoid schizophrenics as well that hear Jesus in their head and wear their emotions on their sleeve by using hand gestures that can sometimes hit you in the face. Again, the whole Joel story is a story for another time. He's a great guy. I'll tell that story for sure.